build a leader that I can attach to a sink tip for pike. And so let's say if I could, you know, in the bass, in the one for bass, I rigged a Fursa leader. But like I said, you have these sink tips that I showed in the other video that come from both Rio and Scientific Anglers, and I don't really need, so I can just do a loop to loop on the end of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off here. I'm going to grab some 30-pound test and line, and cut a little piece of it off here. Okay, you don't want to build a super long leader. So now I'm going to drop down to some 25-pound. Let me get the end here. Where are you? Okay. Where's the end? Okay, here we go. There we are. Okay, so I'm going to tie a little. I'm going to step down from 30 to 25 pound. I'm just using a blood knot. You can use a surgeon's loop too if you want to, a surgeon's knot. And on these heavier ones, I back off a little bit on the wraps. I just do 4 wraps when I have heavier line like this. Catch that. Look through, grab my 2 tags here. Draw it down good and tight and hold it for a moment. Now I'm going to come in here and clip. And now I'm going to clip my tags off. Now before I go any further, I'm going to come up here my 30-pound test, and I'm going to do a perfection loop. So, you know, you just come around once, make a loop around behind it, take the tag, put it between the 2 loops, and come and grab it. And there's a bunch of, all these knots are, you know, they're well documented on the internet. You can find animated animations of how to tie these. I will tell you this though, you know you have a good perfection loop when you got the butt end comes out at a 90-degree angle. So now I've got a perfection loop in this end. Okay, and then I've dropped down to from 30 to 25. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I am going to find, okay, so here's just some Berkeley 20-pound fluorocarbon that I'm going to use. So let me string some of this out. Okay. Again, I'm just going 4 wraps. Come back through the loop. And again, this is a blood knot or a barrel knot that I'm doing. Okay. Stop at that point, tie it down, and trim it out. Okay, now I'm going to come in here and so I'm getting about that much of the fluorocarbon. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do a wire leader. And since I am going up musky fishing tomorrow, I think I'm going to pull out my 40-pound wire. I'm going to do a pretty heavy wire leader here. Where's my wire at here? There we go. So there's some 20-pound wire. Here's some 40-pound wire right here. So I'm going to pull this out. So you just want to get, about maybe 15, 18 inches of it. And have a pair of little side cutters or a little pair of scissors like I have here. That cuts it pretty equally. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something called an Albright knot. Okay, and again, you can look this up, but I'm going to fold it over here. And then an Albright knot is a good knot anytime you're tying either really dissimilar materials or materials that are real different size. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to come through like that. So I've folded it over, come through the loop, and now I'm going to hold it from behind, and I'm going to wrap. I'm going to do some wraps. Yep. Let me come back a little further. Get a little more wire here. Now come back a little further on this. There we go. And I'm going to do 5 wraps. Each time I'm just kind of pinching them in so they don't fall off. Now I'm going to come back through the loop just like I did the first time. Now I'm going to pull these knots up and tighten this all up. Back. Make a couple wraps behind here. Now I'm going to pinch it, wrap forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll go one more. And then I'm going to come up through that loop there. I'm going to draw these loops down. Start stacking up here. And then pull it up tight. There you go. Okay. So let's cut my tags off here. Cut my fluorocarbon tag. Okay, so there's that knot. Okay, now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go back into my kit bag here and get some there we go. So these are big ones. These are pretty big. Twist the clips. So let me open this up. Just take one of these out. Okay, so now I'm going to the wire. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come through, and I'm just going to do a clinch knot. You can clinch knot this. You only want about 3 wraps though. But You got to do this a little differently than you do mono. You want to tighten it up by pulling the tag, not by pulling the standing end down here. So I'm going to tighten this up. And then let's come in here with my little pair of pliers or my forceps here. I'm going to pull down real tight on that. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that knotted up good and tight. So now I'm going to got my tag. Ideally, a little pair of side cutters would be better for this. There we go. So now, there it is. So I've got my clip, I've got a wire bite tippet, it's about that long. This is 40 pounds, so this is going to be a good heavy one. I can use this tomorrow. I've got a little fluorocarbon section in front of that, 20 pound. I've got some 25 pound and a little section of 30 pounds. So overall the leader's not more than about 5 or 6 feet long. So I can come in here and I can tie it, loop it into one of my sinking lines or one of my sink tips. And I've got a leader that will be a good wire leader that I can just change out flies with. So that's doing a wire bite tippet on these. Like I said, I do these ahead of time. I prep them out ahead of time. That way when I'm fishing, I'm not sitting there trying to build one of these things and losing fishing time. I just got a bunch of these kind of already built and sitting in my kit bag here. And it's pretty easy for me to swap things out and do something a little different. So we'll wrap it up. So I'll put this one away and it'll be ready for tomorrow. Okay, so that's how to set up wire bite tippet.